Hey guys, Jason here with the second video review for 24 Season 7. We just finished hour number 5, which was a pretty good hour. There are a lot of things I'm liking and a couple of things that I'm kind of so-so about. So if you haven't seen the episode yet, go and watch it, then come back and see what I have to say. There are spoilers here, so please, don't watch this if you haven't seen the episode yet. Quick recap of what happened in this episode. Tony and Jack and Emerson and the bad guy crew are at the house of the soon-to-be Prime Minister of Sangala, who has locked himself into a panic room with his wife. Jack and Tony come up with a way to smoke, the Prime Minister out, and so they get him out. Along the way, the FBI agent Walker gets captured, and she, along with the Prime Minister and his wife, get thrown in the back of a van, and they're on their way to see a big bad guy. Jack is told to kill the FBI agent, so he takes her to some construction yard. It always seems to be the place where they kill people, in the construction yards. I don't know why, but that's, another story. And he manages to, shoot her, I think it's right in the side of the neck. That's how they kind of showed the blood wound. Shoot her and then throw her into a ditch. He covers her up with a big tarp, and then he has to bury her. She's not dead. Jack has kind of whispered into her ear, trust me and you'll get through it. But then he finds out he's got to bury her. So that's where we ended up with that plot line. We'll see what happens next week. The first gentleman, he is following up on the lead that he got from his son's former girlfriend, fiance, I'm not really sure which one. On this flash drive that has supposedly some information about something that he found, which caused him to be killed. No big surprise here. The first gentleman's bodyguard is actually a bad guy and has poisoned him to paralyze him or whatever. And he's basically going to make it seem like the first gentleman found the girlfriend and killed her and then killed himself. So we'll see what happens with that next week. Over on the FBI side, everything is kind of happening in the FBI office. Turns out that Billy Walsh, guy from Entourage, if you don't know who Billy Walsh is, that's what I'm going to call him, is actually having an affair, or at least kind of involved with some blonde analyst. And Janine Garofalo notices that she's back from the hospital after Agent Walker interrogated that guy with the gun, and she is about to be questioned by someone from the Attorney General's office who basically heard that the FBI agent tortured tortured the guy in the hospital, and is looking to bring up some charges or just ask some information about what happened there. Oh, and we also, Janine Garofalo finds out, or has kind of women's intuition, that the FBI boss guy and the FBI agent are kind of romantically linked. And the president's line I thought was the dumbest one tonight. I'm not really enjoying it that much. She is basically up against the deadline of whether or not she has to pull out these troops that are preparing to invade Sangala and knock out the dictator, Dikembe Mutombo. Which I know is not his name, but it just sounds a lot like it, and I don't remember what his real name is. Her storyline is actually pretty boring. I'm not really enjoying it. I think that it has not as much to do with the main sort of Jack Bauer plotline as it should, so I'm hoping that they merge up pretty soon. One of the big themes that they talked about in this episode, and that they've kind of been talking about throughout the entire season, is this whole use of torture. And 24 has never been a super preachy show, and it's kind of, it bothers me a little bit. I don't mind if a show is a little bit preachy, but it seems like every other line with this FBI plot line is always about, this torture is wrong, and that when you coerce a subject, he's not going to give you reliable information. I'm not here to debate the merits of torture or anything, but I just don't like the fact that the show is getting very messagey. You know what I mean? I understand that it's a topic that people are interested in, and that this show has some real world ramifications on people, but at the same time, it's kind of I want to be entertained. I don't want to necessarily get the message, you know, on what torture is, or, you know, talk about it, you know, have a fireside chat about, you know, whether torture is a good idea or a bad idea. So that's something it's kind of irking me a little bit, and I think in just this episode it was a little bit more obvious than it had been in other ones. It just, people were saying things that they would probably not say in real life. So anyway, that's just kind of like I guess it's a soapbox for this episode. I'm enjoying the Jack line, you know, plot line. I think it's pretty good. I don't really, I guess I'm not 100% sure where it's all going, which is a good thing, obviously. I like the fact that it's moving a little bit slower still, so it's not like there's a, you know, a nuclear bomb didn't just go off like it did last year, and then, you know, the story's got nowhere to go. But I was kind of disappointed that Chloe and Bill were not in this episode. I think that that's probably going to be the more interesting plot line throughout the rest of the season. So I'm hoping that they're back in next week's episode. Overall, I enjoyed it. I mean, I always enjoy 24. It's interesting now that ever since they started the 2-night, 4-hour season premiere thing, you can see that they write those 4 episodes. So like people will watch them, you know, and it's like, oh, it's these, you know, it's a big event. And then after this is the first week where it's just, you know, 1 hour at a time. It's just done a little bit differently. And it's not, you know, it's not a good thing or a bad thing, but it's, you know, it's 1 hour at a time. In previous years, they would probably have something, you know, gargantuan happen in this hour. A lot of things did happen, but it was not that you weren't blown away by anything, which is good because it makes the whole, you know, season a lot more solid. But overall, I want to hear what you guys think. Leave a comment with your thoughts on episode number 5. That'd be the 12 noon to 1 p.m. hour of 24 Season 7. And I'll be back next week with another review. Catch you later.